What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri zone, and welcome back to a daily news show that I feel we already did a year ago or 2 years ago, and it's a new complete Juve because we are gonna go to rebuild. I don't know what it is, 2. No, it's 3.0 or maybe 2.1 at this stage because Calvo handed in his resignation. He's going to Aston Villa, and now the rumors are sparking up that Chiellini is going to take on a bigger role, potentially vice president, or the other idea is working much closer with Giuntoli or whoever is going to be in Giuntoli's place, because there is names being linked like Masara, ex-Milan as well, and the vice president or the real president could become Platini. That is probably the strangest part of the story, but there are now real rumors about Chiellini taking on a bigger job and Giuntoli being replaced by Masara as well. On top of that, we have a new slash old sponsor, which we're going to talk about as well. But before we get into it, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, because this is yet another change. Not for, or like, could it be positive? Yes. But the fact that we're doing it for 3 years straight is definitely not a positive thing. You know, that's why we are in this mess as well. But before we talk about, again, smash the like button. Let's get to 100 likes for this video. Should be easy because this is actually massive news. And let's talk about it. So, Chiellini, who is at the club, is working for the club, but really it's more of a how do you want to call it? Like, he's there, you know, but there's no real impact, there's no real influence. He's just there, and that's about it. Like, we need to be honest about it. But it's very clear that he wants to take on a much bigger role. He wants to have more responsibilities. He wants to be more involved with the club's decisions and etc. And, you know, working with Giuntoli, closer to Giuntoli, could be that. However, I don't think that's the best solution, because as a sporting director, in my opinion, you should have more experience in knowing how things work, you know, and this is not about seeing talent, because again, you have so many scouts as well. They will tell you certain things. For the obvious players, obviously, you see the talent, I would assume, but I think you need more experience to do that job. That's just my opinion. Now, he can be his assistant. I don't think that's what Chiellini wants to do. The real thing that could happen is him becoming potentially vice president, you know, and take on a much bigger responsibilities, because then you oversee a lot of things. You oversee Giuntoli, for example, but you oversee finances, you oversee visions the club wants to set out, you know, which direction we're going to take as a club, and so on, so on. The Platini one, for me, is a wild rumor, because Platini, if you bring in a Platini, he's not gonna come on and be the vice president under Ferrero. That's just not gonna, like, that doesn't happen. You know, the name, the role he had in the past, like everything attached to it, that doesn't scream vice president. That screams president of the club. Period. You know, so for that to happen, Alcon is gonna need to sack Ferrero, who is his quote unquote buddy. Should he be in that position? Absolutely not. Everybody knows that. You know, he's not in the world of sport. It's weird. You know, like Scanavino, who's a diehard Torino fan, by the way, who's working for the club. Like, it feels unnatural, and that's how we look on the pitch as well. Unnatural. So for the Platini thing to be worked, you know, to be feasible, that means Alcon is going to need to be sacking his guy Ferrero, because Platini is not going to be vice president. I think Chiellini would accept that role as vice president, knowing that it's only a title, and in the end, he's going to be more important. He's going to take more responsibility. People are going to go with him much more, you know, just because of, you know, how do you want to call it, you know, hierarchy, basically, and what you've done for the club, and that, basically. So that's that part of the story. But the Calvo resignation is already a big thing, you know, because I think that's tied to so many things, because he brought in Giuntoli, you know, it was his guy, and he convinced Alcon as well to do so. And, you know, everybody wants Conte, and we know Conte and Giuntoli is not really feasible. So that means Alcon is now sitting there being like, well, Calvo is gone, and well, Giuntoli is not really my guy anymore. If I want Conte, he's gonna need to be working with him. I know there are rumors out there that Alcon is dreaming about Zidane. Keep on dreaming, because that should not be the move he should be making. How long has Zidane been without a coaching job? 3 years? 4 years? I don't know how long it's been. And besides Real Madrid with that super team, and still you need to make it work. But I mean, Zidane for a rebuild, that cannot be a dream. That probably will be ending up in a real disaster. Let's be completely honest of that. So a lot of things are moving, and on top of that, we have real rumors that the club is talking with Masada. And if you're talking with Masada, that means Juntali is out. Even the timing is not seems not right. It's the end of May. You have a transfer window before the Club World Cup, and then still, like, the transfer window is almost kicking off, literally. Like, it's kicking off, and you're gonna sack your sporting director, and you're gonna hire a new one, and he's gonna need to look at all these players who he doesn't know, who he didn't bought. Gonna need to make quick decisions to sell players, sign players, get a new coach. That feels so unnatural as well. So that could be an even bigger mess, in my opinion, than just keeping Juntali for this summer. In my opinion, that's just how I'm looking at it. Or the club is looking at it. Juntali, you're gone. Tudor, you're gone. Masara comes in and he agreed. It's Conte, for example, and this is what we're gonna do. But the way Napoli are moving, for example, signing De Bruyne, getting closer to that David, getting a bit closer to Surukov, they are gonna be set. They're gonna be set at the end of June when the preseason starts. For Conte, that's a dream. Preseason starts and his team is set with new signings, and only the fringe players he needs to sell will probably leave. But that's unbelievable for Conte. That's what Conte wants. He doesn't want to come on in June and he sees Masada there and he's still figuring out what the hell he's gonna do. So I mean, it could end up being a complete mess again because we waited too long to pull the trigger on massive decisions that should have been made weeks ago, months ago. That and the Jeep one. Jeep is back, for 4 years with Visit Detroit, or 3.5 years, whatever you want to call it. About 69 million is a deal. 4 million for this season still. Then it's 19, then 23 and 23. The funny thing is we wasted a year, of not getting sponsorship money. And then we go back to Jeep, which is kind of owned by Exor/Alcon. I mean, I don't know how to discuss that. I don't know how to look at that. That's just crazy. But that sums up everything we have. Yes, it's less than when we signed that deal when we had Ronaldo. Obvious, but the fact that we moved on, tried to look for options, didn't find better options, and go back, it's just, we wasted a year for, I don't know, for nothing, basically, really for nothing. So Jeep is back with Visit Detroit with the new jersey. I'm not really going to discuss the jersey. I'm not a fan of it. I like it classic, normal, not like that. I'm not a fan of it, but whatever, I will be a fan of it if we win stuff next season. Then it's iconic, and then I will be a fan of it, by default. But yeah, other than that, another crazy day, another crazy rumors. And well, if you listen to the rumors right now, it's literally all over the place with nobody knowing what the hell is actually happening with this club. Anyways, let me know in the comments, will you take Chiellini in a bigger role, in a more important role, or will you say, yeah, I'll take him, but also Platini as well, to take on that massive responsibility within the club? Let me know, like the video, and I will speak to you guys tomorrow. Ciao.